welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Marina here, and I'm excited to come to you in another video. If it's your first time here, you're welcome. My name is Marina. I make videos from Saskatoon, Canada, where I share about life issues and my experiences as a Nigerian immigrant in Canada. I share very vital information on this channel, so do well to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification so you know every time I upload a new video. To my returning subscribers, welcome. Always such a pleasure to have you here. In today's video, guys, like you can tell from the title already, I'm going to be addressing something that has become a very common question when I receive emails from my subscribers. And people always want to know, what is it like buying a car as a newcomer in Canada? What do I have to know? What do I have to look out for when buying a car in Canada? And today I'm going to be answering that question. So if you want to learn more about this, you know what to do. Definitely keep watching. A few things out here first. If you have followed me for a while, you will know that I've talked about this a number of times on this channel, that I'm not a very big believer in newcomers going to buy brand new cars when they arrive in Canada. There are a number of reasons why I don't think that's a good idea, because number one, not a lot of people come with a lot of money where they're able to afford a purchase like that, and it is not advisable for you to tie down so much money in something that is technically not an asset. A car is not an asset. So what's the whole idea, tying down that amount of money for a car that is going to start to lose value as soon as you drive out of the place? If you're going to go and get a brand new car as a newcomer, you might end up getting it at really high interest rates because you have not had enough time to build a credit history. So that's really why I don't as a matter of first choice encourage people to do that. But if you come into Canada or whatever country it is you're moving into and you can afford it, by all means go for it. It's about the same reason why I also don't encourage people to get into car loans or car financing. It's for the same reason. You might get really high interest rates for something that is technically not an asset. I don't consider it a worthy investment, but if you can afford it and it works for your family, by all means go for it. Okay, another thing that I want people to understand is that it is not absolutely compulsory that you must have a car as a newcomer in Canada. If you're single, for instance, like you come into Canada alone, maybe you come in as an international student, there may not be an immediate need for you to get a car to get by. The transit system in most of the provinces are reliable. You can depend on them. They are trustworthy, they're reliable, you can depend on them. So as a student, for instance, you can do without getting a car until maybe you're done your studies and you've now transitioned into working and it has become necessary for you to get a car. Then you can consider that option. But as a matter of fact, it is not an absolute necessity for everybody to have a car when they arrive. If you have a family on the other hand, the dynamics may be different because you want to put into consideration things like getting by in times of winter. It might be difficult getting children around in the transit, in the buses. It's not like it's not possible, it happens, but it might just be a lot more work if you have children to worry about as against if it's somebody that is single. Okay, so you want to really sit down and first determine the need for a car. Do you absolutely need one? If you can do without it, I would advise you to go without one for as long as you can until it becomes absolutely necessary for you to get a car. For your family, you might want to consider that sooner because it's easier to get children around in your own personal vehicle as against the public transit systems. Okay, I just thought to put that out there so that you would understand that I'm not saying that it's an absolute necessity for you to get a car when you come. That determination is going to depend on you, your family needs, and things that are specific to you guys. So if you absolutely decide that you need one, by all means go for it. So now that you've made the decision to get a car, upon arrival in Canada, what are you supposed to be looking out for? The first advice I give anybody, the first thing that I would suggest to anybody when considering getting a car in Canada is to sit down and count the cost, is to sit down and come up with a budget. Realistically, what are you able to afford for a car at that time? Now, bear in mind that buying a car is not just walking into wherever it is you want to buy the car, paying for the car, walking away, and that's it. You have to consider the other expenses that come with owning a vehicle. You have to consider the cost of maintenance. You have to consider the cost of gas, which is fuel. You have to consider the cost of insurance. You have to consider sometimes the cost of parking, because there are apartments now where you pay for parking stalls. Where you live, you pay per month to park your car where you park it. If you're going to work, if you work in a place where street parking is not free, you're also going to consider the cost of parking. Those things add up at the end of the day. So you want to sit down and make sure that you're putting the cost, you're counting the cost, and you're working with something that is within what is realistic for you to be able to afford. A car is not what you want to use to prove to people that you are in a certain class of life. Really, I just think that priority should be in the right place. It is not a car you want to use to show the people back home or show the people around you that, okay, I've arrived. No, that's not what you want to be doing. If you can afford it, like I said before, by all means go for it. But if you can't, that's not the time that you want to be proving a point. You should not be buying things that you cannot afford. You should not be buying a car that is outside your reach, outside your convenient reach, because you're trying to prove a point to anybody. Don't get sucked up in that. Don't get caught up in that. Honestly, I think you should be working within your budget and you should be comfortable doing that. For me, I had no problems starting really small for where we could afford. We bought a small car that was very old, you know, but the car served its purpose. It got us from point A to point B. So while other people were paying $400, $500 on a monthly basis to pay back their cars, we did not have that responsibility because we bought a car that we could afford outright. Okay, so that's one very important thing I think everybody should take note of. Work within your budget, sit down, draw up the cost, be realistic with yourself, and only go for something that you can afford. Resist the pressure, resist the urge to try to buy something you cannot afford because you're trying to impress people. At the end of the day, nobody cares, honestly. And then the next thing you want to think about is, where can I find this car? If I'm going to buy a car, where should I be looking? Now, there are a number of places that you can look at to get a car in Canada. Online would be my first choice. There are a number of car traders that trade online that you can go on their website and just put what you're looking for and they give you recommendations. I'm going to be including some of these websites on the screen and in the description box, so it might be something for you to take a look at to see what I'm talking about. So there are a number of these options that sell cars like that. There's also the option of Kijiji. There's almost nothing you cannot find on Kijiji in Canada, but yes, you can actually find cars on Kijiji. There are car dealers that advertise on Kijiji. Private sellers also advertise on Kijiji. So you will find like a wide range of different cars and different options on Kijiji. That's an option as well. And then there are the dealerships. They are the ones that will sell you brand new cars or certified pre-owned cars. And then there's the option of private sellers, from word of mouth, from Facebook Marketplace. You will find people who are interested in selling their vehicles and they will be advertising there as well. So there are a number of options of where you can get the cars in Canada. Okay, after you have now gone through all these websites and you have found a place, found a car that you want, what next are you supposed to do? There are a number of checks that's required for everybody to do when you're buying a car in Canada. In Saskatoon, for instance, there are some regulations that the province has in place on what the roadworthiness of a car should look like. Now, don't forget that different provinces might have some of these things are similar, but some provinces have distinct regulations that they expect every car to be able to abide by. I live in Saskatchewan, and if I'm buying a car from somebody who lives in Alberta, I want to be sure that the provisions of Alberta, the provisions of Saskatchewan are about the same. I want to be taking note of the provisions that Saskatchewan has that Alberta maybe doesn't have. There are some provinces, I know in Ontario, for instance, there are some issues relating to rust on a car that Ontario will waive, but Saskatchewan will insist that things relating to rust on the car, you must fix it. There's a certain level that's acceptable. So while it is okay in Ontario, it is not okay in Saskatchewan. You want to make sure you're paying attention to those things. If you're buying a car from out of the province where you are, you want to be sure that you're putting provincial regulation into consideration, right? Also, especially if you're buying from a private seller, you want to be sure that you're doing proper checks, just so that you're not buying something that will become a problem for you down the line. If possible, take a professional mechanic to go and check out the car, because there are some things that you will miss that a professional wouldn't. Every car has what is called a vehicle identification number. If you're getting from a private seller, you want to ask them for that number, and when they provide it to you, you can actually, there are websites that you can put this number into and get like a VIN report. In Saskatchewan, I know that if you plug it into the SGI website, you're able to get the history on that vehicle. First of all, it will show you who the legal owner, who that car is registered to is. So you want to be sure that you're buying the car to verify that you're buying the car from the legal owner and is by no means a stolen property. You want to double check that. You also want to check the accident history. You also want to check like the insurance claims, how many claims have been made on that vehicle, because those things have a way of just showing up down the line. If your car has been accidented too many times, it now gives you an idea that okay, these are the problems that you're going to be facing with the car in a short time. You want to pay attention to that as well, right? So that's what that report does, shows you that history to be sure that you know exactly what you're dealing with. Because sometimes private sellers might be a bit shady. They don't tell you everything. Sometimes they tell you, oh no, this car has never been an accident. When you go and check the VIN report, you see that there have been several accident claims on that vehicle. So you want to just not leave anything to chance. You want to be sure that you're doing all these checks and doing due diligence. Okay, depending on where you are, the regulations around buying a vehicle might be different, so you want to make sure you're paying attention to that. Anyway guys, those are the basic things that you need to pay attention to when it comes to getting a car in Canada. You want to be sure that you're working with your budget. You want to be sure that you're getting it from a verifiable source, and then you want to be making sure that you're doing proper checks and putting everything into consideration. Whenever you're not sure, it is always advisable for you to get a second opinion, get someone else to go with you, or double check somewhere else. Like, don't run with just what one person says. If somebody says something and you're not quite sure about it, verify the information, double check with other sources. You just never know. Keep your heart open, keep your mind open, and before long you will find the car that meets your needs, that can fit into your family budget. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching this video guys. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. I hope you learned from this. If you did, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please do well to hit the subscribe button and join our family. And until I come your way in my next video, it's Marina saying thank you and have an amazing day. Bye guys.